What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the show. Andres Gamboa here for another episode of the Ponytails Podcast number 202. Look at that. Palindrome. How fun. If this is your first one and not your 202nd one, let me tell you a little bit about what we're doing. We here at the show interview people who sold books door to door for a company called Southwestern Advantage. That's right, door to door. They're still doing it in 2022, and they're going to do it this summer in 2023. But they've also been doing it since 1868, which means there's about 100,000 estimated living alumni who all did this program. We go find them and interview them to hear about their experience, what they're up to now, and how that experience affected them, and all that jazz. So it makes for really interesting conversations and a lot of funny stories. Hopefully you stick around. Hopefully you like them. Now, if you sold books, welcome. Where you been? Make sure you subscribe. If you want to be on the show, go to our website, theponytailspodcast.com, and submit a form to be on the show. If you know somebody that should have been on the show who sold books and should be on here, throw them our way. We would love to get to know them and have them on here and feature their stories. My guest today is Patrick Dichter. He is the owner of Apple Tree Business Services, which is a company that acquires accounting firms and grows them, I suppose. We're going to hear a little bit more about what exactly that entails here in a second. He went to the University of Denver for the Eagle Blitz organization, and originally from Morrison, Colorado. Sold for 4 summers, which is, God bless, just like I guess I sold 4 summers. So he did it from 2007 to 2010, and his favorite scroll from the Augmentino Greatest Salesman in the World book is number 3, I Will Persist Until I Succeed. Fan favorite. A lot of people like that one, which makes sense for the type of people that we are going door to door for 80 hours a week. But when I come back, we'll be on with Patrick. Tequila. Is it a great day to be a bookman?
It's a great day to be a bookman. It's good to see you. Cheers.
You too. Cheers to you, sir. Tequila on no rocks. That's my mug. I know I say this every episode, but can you believe this? Somebody gave this to us.
That's amazing.
All right, man. I want to ask you a question. Why do you think people should leave the book field and start acquiring businesses?
I love that we're starting here. I think at the end of the day, there is a massive opportunity to go and buy a small business. And the type of people who sold books are perfectly wired for it. And if you sold books, everyone's going to recruit you to sell software or sell insurance or sell some sort of services and promise you some dream, and they're going to fuck with your comp plan, and you're not going to make the type of money and have the lifestyle that you want for you and your family. I've seen it over and over and over and over and over again. And I just think it's a great opportunity for alumni. And I just wanted to, change it up and bring a different story and just talk about my experience going and buying a small business. And I help people buy small businesses and why more book people should consider it.
Okay, so let me dumb it down, because some people go out and build businesses. Some people go out and work for businesses, as you said, which, I understand. Horror stories are plenty from the scenario that you painted, for sure. Not to say that every opportunity is that way, but it happens. Buying businesses, though, it feels like something that's easier said than done, right? What if I left the book field and I have no money? The basic questions. So let's start from there, because I feel like that your experience in this is probably unique, and I want to hear about it. So maybe pardon me for any dumb questions I might ask you, but I'll just go from curiosity here. Walk me through from the beginning. How did it happen for you? And then I'll probably interject somewhere in the middle as if I get confused.
Yeah. So my longer story, I sold 4 summers. I did my undergrad and MBA at University of Denver. And then I spent 7 years at Rev Local with a lot of book people and alumni. I was the first sales rep, and then that company grew like crazy. We had 300 plus employees. We grew from 0 to 35 million annualized revenue while I was there. And then I spent 3 years doing small business advising and coaching. And I'd heard about this concept of these people, it's called a search fund, these people that go and buy small businesses. And during my time advising, a lot of our clients would come to us and they'd have terrible bookkeeping. And it's almost like in the summer, if you don't have stats, it's so hard to inform and make decisions. and we'd refer them out and they'd get quality bookkeeping for their business, and it was transformative. And so I thought, like, why don't I just go buy a bookkeeping company rather than continuing to refer it out? So it took me 10 or 11 months. I went and searched for the right business to buy, and then ultimately closed on one. And we can get into more of that, but the risk of that versus like trying to, be the next Uber, or like make some tech startup, or like trying to, start a roofing company from scratch, is like the failure rate is much higher, right? Whereas like you can go buy an existing profitable business at a reasonable multiple and like hit the ground running, and it cash flows from day one. And, you could make 100, 200, 300K the first year, without having to like spend the first 5 to 7 years, like not making any money and plowing it all back into the business. Yeah, I just think it's something that more alumni should pay attention to. You're muted. I can't hear you.
Oh, here. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's great. And I honestly, I love this. We don't get to talk about this enough, so I'm glad that you're talking about this right now, because it feels kind of like almost like Shark Tank type vibes, but like
Yeah.
from a more grassroots type, almost before the company gets too big. So
Yeah.
let me just start with the basics. How would you personally define when you say buying a small business?
Yeah.
Is a
Yeah.
small
So
business
I'll
going to be a
walk through.
company that makes
I'll walk
100
through some
to
numbers.
a million?
Like, a
Sure.
lot of people
Yeah.
know Wade Floyd, right? Alumni in Texas. He was a sales manager. He bought a house in Austin like years and years and years ago. Like, that's going to make him wealthy, right? Like, now, if you're to try to get into Austin and like buy a house, like, good luck. It's like, it's so competitive, right? But I think the economics are similar. Okay. So if, you're coming off the book field, or you sold books a few years ago, we're going to walk through the exercise of going to buy a business for $1 million valuation, right? So these things typically are valued for between 2 and 4 times their profit
Yeah.
or cash flow, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say we're going to go buy a window distribution company, right? So let's say that business does like 300 to 350K a year in profit. You're going to buy it for $1 million flat. Like, that's the price. You can come to the table with like 50K and get the deal done. That's probably the lowest amount, right? So if you have 50K, like, yeah, you could, invest somewhere, you could go buy a house or whatever. But if you had 50K, you can probably buy a business for $1 million, right? In a perfect world, you might need a little bit more. But so the way this looks, you put like 5 to 10% down. The seller finances a loan to you for anywhere from 10 to 20%, and then the rest is an SBA loan. So part of why this is doable is because the government backs these like 10-year loans on small businesses.
Sure.
So you buy this window distribution company, you're going to buy it from somebody who's 60 and has run it for 20 years, and like it funded their lifestyle, and they're just ready to retire, and they've done everything like old fashioned, like on pen and paper, that, they can barely use.
Archaically.
Yeah, it's archaic, right? Like, they're using a fax machine, and you come in and like you buy it, and like the first few months you just make sure it's stable, and then like you steadily grow it. Well, you can be paying yourself 150, 200K a year. And oh, by the way, if you grow it and improve the business, like, you could take that profit number that they had of 350, and you could take it to, 450, 500, 600K. And after, paying off the debt each year, like, it's cash flowing really well. And oh, by the way, you own this asset, and there's tons of tax advantages with owning the business. And then from there, you could go buy other things, or you could plow the money back into real estate. So that's sort of like a basic example that you'd walk through.
You could also leverage that business to buy the next one, right? It's kind of like buying real estate, right? In a way, but you're not quite buying a fixer upper, but you're buying a house that's it's okay, but it does need some touch ups. You touch it up, and all of a sudden it doubles in what it's worth, because you fix the roof and the plumbing, and all of a sudden it's
Totally.
like, whoa, back to
Yeah.
okay.
And after the first one, like, it gets way easier, right? So like, I bought 3 accounting firms within 12 months, and like the second and third were way, way easier than the first one.
Now, do you normally find people who've been doing it for a while, just for the sake of the fact that the business is proven to not go under, or like how do you decide what is a good firm? Because you alluded to like this old man's been owning it for 60 years, right? But is it
Mhm.
always like that, or what? How do you? I guess let's jump into some of
Yeah,
what
the
people are
criteria.
doing.
So
Yeah,
most of the time, what you're looking for is a boring business that doesn't require a lot of like heavy machinery or like really capital intensive.
sure,
It has recurring revenue, it has sticky customers, and it has some kind of good moat, right? So like the classics in there is like a heating and cooling company, a plumbing company, a distribution company, somebody that maybe like does road maintenance for the government, right? Or like they're a tree service company in Atlanta and they have a contract with like, Georgia roads or whatever, right?
sure,
I bought an accounting firm that's like as boring as it gets, right?
yeah.
Um,
not
so
not a car wash or like a plowing service that you need to maintain vehicles for,
yeah, I
kind of
mean,
thing. Yeah,
some people can buy those too, but like you have to be a little careful when you're buying like a lot of equipment, because you have like those fixed payments. But like
mechanical.
those
Yeah,
those are the classic things that like people are looking for, is like these like kind of old school boring businesses that you know are recession resistant and
yeah.
have good profit margin.
Wow. So then that's a criteria.
Here's
If
what
you could
gets
have
even
a
crazier too. Like if we take this even further,
yeah,
um, if you were to like buy multiple and grow it, your multiples get even higher if you were to sell it, right? So back on that distribution company, like if I bought one window distribution company and then a second and third and a fourth, if I can get the profit to like 1 million a year, instead of being worth like 2 or 2.5 times, there's private equity firms that'll buy it for like 6 to 8 times.
because you showed that it can scale,
Yeah, you show
essentially.
that it can scale, and it's worth their time once you get up to like that $1 million profit. So um, there are some people that are in that game of just like cobbling together a few for a few years, and then they flip them, and then they get these like huge exits.
So, okay, this is interesting because let's dive in for a second on a tangent there of how do I mean, often the answer is systems, but when you first acquire the company, what do you do to scale it? Like what is your go-to strategy? Because everybody kind of has a different and always ends up something along the lines of you got to create
Yeah,
systems
well,
so that it can be
the reason I
replicable. But
say like book people would be good at this, before you buy the business, it can be intimidating. It's like a lot of financial language and a lot of lingual language, and you're like,
sure.
I don't know what this is, right? But then like once you own it, most of these businesses are people intensive, and it's all like, do you have emotional intelligence to be able to like keep the current team and figure out what's going on in the business that works well? And then can you hire and can you sell and can you think on your feet, right? Like those are like that's like book people in a nutshell, right? So like I bought an accounting firm, and for accounting firms, like from 0 to 1 million, it's a grind. 0 to 1 million in revenue. And then like 1 to 5, it's all about like, can you keep selling? Can you hire people? And can you keep
Mm,
the systems tight, right? I have a good friend I worked with at Rev Local. She wasn't a book person, but she's kind of cut from the same cloth. She bought a
mm.
fencing business in Ohio and she doubled it within 6 months. Because like we learned how to sell and we learned some basic marketing, right? Um, if you're, if you're living in Texas and you go buy like a, asphalt paving company that's been at 3 million a year, and then you just put a little bit of like salesmanship into going to sell new contracts, and you recruit technicians, like boom, there's your growth, right? So a lot of times you're buying kind of these like stable companies that the previous owner like made a good living, but they got complacent, right? So you can either just keep it as is and make a good living, or you can grow it a little bit, and then it really like can take off for you.
Yeah.
um so
Wow, this is super interesting. I'm loving this conversation. This is so cool.
yeah,
So
and I just
what?
think of like, I had friends that went and worked at ZocDoc, and it was supposed to be like the next thing, and we all thought they were going to get like huge tech paydays, and like they didn't, right? Because like they were selling well, and then VCs came in and like consultants came in and like changed the comp plan, right? Like
Yeah.
you hear that story again and again, whether it's like
Yep.
ZocDoc or it happened at Rev Local or it happened at Family Heritage and like all the insurance companies, right? Like again and again and again
Yep.
and again.
Yeah.
So,
And you
yeah,
have
yeah,
companies that like you have companies. And so, sorry, so as you because you're talking about this, in your plan, what when you're buying this firm, are you thinking I'm going to own this for 10 years, or is there like a specific
great.
strategy that you have? I'm like, this is when I exit. Like I'm
Yeah,
gonna
that's a
buy it
great
now
question.
and then
So
I sell it again.
there's some people that they'll buy companies knowing that they're going to sell them within 4 or 5 years. And there's also crazy tax code where um, this is really down the rabbit hole, but like if you incorporate as a C corp, you can get QSBS where like you don't get taxed on the capital gains. So if you
Yes.
rolled up a bunch of HVAC companies and you sold them for 10 million, like you might not get taxed on any of that, which is like
Yes.
crazy, right? But anyway, so my goal is to get Apple Tree, the original accounting firm I bought, from 1.2 million in revenue to 5 million within 5 years, and then hold it for a long time. And that'll serve as kind of like my mothership, where then I start to go buy other types of small businesses, right? So, Southwestern did this, right? Like they had the book business that was kind of
Mhm.
like their incubator, their core thing. And then they'd like use the people from that to go start Family Heritage or
Build
something,
everything else. Yeah.
or you name it, right? So
And
my
or
vision is
buy
to,
buy companies of other alumni who are doing really cool stuff.
yeah, yeah. So my vision is like the accounting firm will, at the end of the day, that'll be like what creates cash flow for us, creates a lot of relationships, and also gives us intelligence to know like what other types of companies are worth buying, right? Because if we have a lot of moving companies as clients, we'll know what to look for and what to buy, right? Or if we have a lot of marketing agencies, one of them is eventually going to say, "Hey, we want to sell," and maybe we're the first ones to get a crack at
Jump
buying.
in. Yeah. So, okay. On that note, man, I'm a nerd about this kind of stuff. So I'm glad that I'm glad that you're here. Um, on that note, if I am, and maybe I'm speaking for myself as the owner of the Ponytails Podcast LLC, right? But maybe there's people who listen, and we've had guests before for sure that we know that listen to our show that are starting their own business. So if their plan, so maybe this is more advice for them. If their plan is to at some point go, I want to exit by selling it to someone who's going to just buy for a couple million and
Yeah.
I can go retire, right? What is the main, maybe what are some of the do's and don'ts? So give me
Mhm.
like three, like do this, make sure you know this, like maybe it's cost of acquisition or if it's like a specific margin that you're looking for, and don't do this. This is stupid. This is a bad trend. Don't follow. Can you like maybe
Yeah.
provide some insight on
Yeah.
that?
The biggest things you can do, like have good financials. You got to get it up to like at least 200K in profit per year. You want to not have it be owner dependent, right? So
And
it
hold
can't
on.
just be like,
So that's profit. Sorry to interrupt. I just want to make sure that's profit, not revenue, because people
right, 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 right.
Southwestern doesn't really teach these differences. They just
No.
go sell books and then go
So
do your
let's
bar.
just say, for an easy example, Andres, you started a web design business, right?
Sure.
So
Well, let's just
you'd
take this
want
podcast. Let's take this
to,
podcast.
okay, this
We're
podcast,
making
right?
money.
It's called a
Yeah,
content business,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
you'd want to have good, clean financials, right? Like good bookkeeping, so somebody can see what's going on. You'd want to get it up to 200K profit or more, and you'd want it to not be owner dependent, right? So like maybe you're the face of the brand, but like somebody else does producing, somebody else books advertising, somebody else gets your distribution, handles the tech, right? Like those are the main things that you can do to like drive up the value quickly. And there's also like there's a great book on this called Built to Sell. So if somebody has a business right now and like that's your goal, you should go read the book Built to Sell.
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I know I am. I wanted to give a quick shout out to the people that make this show possible, the people that bring this show to you. These are people who all sold books, and we're here to give a quick shout out to them in a spotlight about their company and what they're up to. So if you're interested, or if after listening to this, you're kind of wanting to know a little bit more, feel free to click on the links below to connect with these people. These are from an excerpt I have with them from a podcast that I do on the side. It's called Executive Exercises, where we take all our sponsors and they come into a think tank and share some awesome ideas about how to grow their business specifically on different topics. Go check that out. But I pulled some of the comments that they had explaining what they do and who they're looking for on their companies. And so if that sounds like you, like I said, click below. Hope you enjoy. So yeah. And so money wise, and it just seemed like it was going to be the leads, which I wanted to go back to that because you mentioned this, and that's another thing that maybe Southwestern people don't understand is leads. That's kind of like you're saying, basically, imagine you show up to a town to sell books, you send a postcard out to every single family that has kids in school or young children, asking them if they struggle with any of the following subjects, yes or no. Would you be interested in hearing about a product that might help you with all those subjects, yes or no, name and address, and then you just waited at your HQ for like a couple of weeks, and then you got in the mail like 700 people returning that postcard saying, "Come to my house. Here's where I live. Hi, are you the mom of the house? Yes, and you've heard of you. Great.
Yeah. Is this your handwriting,
Let's
Miss Betty? Yeah, that's my
yeah,
handwriting.
yeah,
You got a few minutes? It's again, you're not selling every single lead that you sit down with, but the leads is kind of what interested me because that kind of anxiety feeling that I talked about at
yeah.
Southwestern and the anxiety I had with Family Heritage, I honestly didn't think that was going to go away, but it has. It's gone away when I sold. I still had a little bit of anxiety, but after that first knock, it goes away. But much less anxiety every week because I know I have fresh leads coming in. And so even if this day doesn't work out, I know I got typically our agents will get anywhere from 25 to 50 leads a week of people that they can go and call on.
I want people to understand what it is that you do, how you do it, why you do it, all of the good stuff. You hear a lot about coaching, you hear a lot about life coach, sales coach, business coach, yada yada coach.
Man, I think just to start off, like what it isn't, it's not training. It's not showing up
Yeah.
and having somebody talk at you for 45 minutes to an hour. And like the way that I look at it is we're all human beings. We're all broken in some capacity. And we all know a lot of the people that I work with, they know what they're supposed to be doing. They're just not executing on it, or they're not doing it as intentionally as they should be. Or they're just not focused. They have like 15 different goals or 15 different things that they're trying to balance or do, and because of that, like they're not as intentional as they should be at home, or they're not as intentional as they should be at work, and they're not picking up the phone and calling people. And it's like having a personal trainer for your business. It's having intention on why we do what we do every day and creating clarity and helping to build our lives and our calendars around what our future goals and intentions are.
That'll do for now. Like I said, make sure you click below to get some more information. And now back to the show. Now, I'm glad that you mentioned the brand thing because this is something that within our team internally, I've been harping on hardcore. Look, I'm glad that I get to host and I'm glad that I get to talk to all the alumni that we talk to. But the last thing I want to be is the face of this damn thing. Like, first of all, the why or our mission is to be like the alumni place for people to come and chill. So it's not about
Yeah.
me, it's about the podcast, and it can be its own separate entity. But that right there, what you just said, is why I don't want to be the face of the company. For anybody listening, it's huge because the reason for that is because if somebody ever, like, let's say we do get to that 200K in revenue, right? Let's say we have good financials, because we do. Accountants will always pay for themselves, so make sure you pay for a nice one.
Yeah.
Same thing for lawyers. But let's say we get to that point, but then I sell it. You wouldn't want it, because if I'm the face of the brand and then I am no longer the host because I sold it to you, it's
Yeah.
going to tank. It's
Yeah.
going to tank because I'm the person carrying it, and I don't want to be the person carrying it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Totally.
in our team, constantly, I'm like, it's not like I'm here and I have the most face time because I'm the host. But if we could make it so this is its own separate thing and it's not my face, not only because I don't necessarily want any more attention than what I get here as a host, but also because of the value that it provides to just have this brand stand on its own for what it is, right? So take a lesson, anybody who has their own business, and like specifically like fitness and all these companies that you're seeing from alumni that they're starting them, where it's like they're trying to drive their followers on Instagram to like get funnels to go back into their business, which is a great way to market. But once you're not that brand and once you move on, your company itself is worth nothing or not as much because of that. This is God, so cool that you said that. Thank you for that. So those are the do's. Make sure it's not it's not brand person specific for the brand. Make sure you have good financials, and make sure that you're making 200K in not revenue, but in profits. Profits. Got it. Cool. So those are the do's. What are the don'ts?
The don'ts, I mean, you can just take the inverse of that, right? Like, the don't would be like, you don't have good financials. Like, you aren't making, like, if you're only making like 30K a year in profit, like, it's not worth somebody buying, right? If it all depends on you, like, if nothing's documented, you don't have any like checklists or SOPs written down, right? Like, those are the sort of things that make it not worth anything.
Wonderful. Oh man, when you change gear changing gears here. When you buy a company, first thing, what do you do? I mean, we're assuming it's right. Financials are
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
First thing, right?
First thing you're supposed to do is nothing, like, because you're assuming that you bought a solid business, and the phrase is "do no harm." So really, you're supposed to just like sit and listen and observe for like 3 to 6 months. It's like don't fuck it up. That's a broad rule, but like generally speaking, yeah, you're just supposed to go in and like listen and meet the team and like keep the team stable, keep the customer stable, and then you look for like, okay, what's the low hanging fruit? Like, what can we improve? Easier said than done. Like when you come in and you're like, oh, like, do we have to do it that way? Like, why do we, why do we
Because the
do
first
that?
thing you're going to do is like, we should get a website because this accounting firm doesn't have a web or whatever.
Right,
But just
right.
leave it. You're saying just leave it for a few months.
Yeah.
Huh. And then what?
And then you're trying to figure out like what are the levers that we can pull, right? Are we understaffed? Like we have more customers that want us, but we don't have staff, right? Do we need to staff up, right? Or is it like everything's on paper and like we need a CRM and we need to digitize this thing? Or is it like, okay, we have a quality product and offering, but like we need to drive sales, right? So like let's go figure out our sales process, improve the marketing, and then hire salespeople. So
I have so many questions for you, man. This is so great. Thank you for being here.
yeah.
I genuinely mean this. Okay. So figure out what levers to pull. Let's just pick on that little thread of okay. So I guess let me first start here. Where did you learn this? Because I know for a fact that this is not part of sales school. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
So
this is not where
So I learned a ton in my 2 previous jobs. At Rev Local, I learned a lot there. So spent 7 years, and Rev Local does digital marketing for small business, right? So I did sales and I was a sales manager, but you're literally meeting like Main Street businesses like all day. And like, granted, you're talking about marketing most of the time, but like you learn a lot, right? So, we're doing digital marketing for dentists and florists and like office furniture companies and insurance agents and chiropractors and like those types of people, right? So you really learn a lot interacting with them. And then after that, I spent 3 years doing small business advising and coaching with a company called Cultivate Advisors. So clients would pay us, like $1,000 to $2,000 per month. And our job was to help them like grow their business, improve it, help them get their time back, improve their profitability. Right. So we're looking at everything from their, sales and marketing to their hiring, their leadership skills, to their financials and their operations. Right. So that's really where I observed a lot, and you see trends across these businesses. And you'd also just see like, I had a little imposter syndrome when I started that job because I was like one of the youngest advisors, and all the things that like were second nature to us after selling books was just like gold to them. I worked with a lot of service businesses, right? Like marketing agencies and software companies that like had no sales skills, right? Or they're like terrible at recruiting. And you're like, well, try this one thing. And they're like, holy shit,
pre-approach.
sold 3 new customers, and they're like, where did you learn this? So that's where I learned a lot of this of like what levers to pull, was because I was there for 3 years and I advised, I don't know, like 50 businesses in that time. So like you see trends and like you figure out how to solve those problems. And honestly, that was part of it too, because I'd help these clients of mine like go like double and triple their business, and I wasn't making more money. It's like,
yeah,
shit, right?
Yeah, I understand.
And the other thing, I mean, I enjoyed everyone at Rev Local. It's a good company, but like, there was like stock plan there that like I had to give up if I left, and that like really left a sour taste in my mouth. And similar thing happened at Cultivate. It was like this like profit share, like partner plan was touted. And then when I saw it, I was like, that's like underwhelming, And I was like, fuck this. Like, I'm going to go bet on myself, so.
But now, okay, man, I have so many questions. I should probably be writing some of this stuff down just so I can like, because as you're saying things, I'm like, oh, I want to pick your brain about this. So sorry if I'm like fanboying over here, because this is such a good, it's been a while since we had someone like really break this down. I think we had Brian Slipko was on here once, and he like does kind of what you're doing, where he like goes and acquires small businesses and then scales them and then
Oh, really? I don't know.
profits.
What's his
Yeah.
name?
Oh, dude, Brian Slipka.
Slipka.
Highly recommend that you go. He owns like a minor baseball team now. Very.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I'll connect you with him once after we're done here. But basically, kind of the same thing what you're saying, and I kind of went down that rabbit hole with him too, because it's, to me, I'm a nerd about this, and hopefully people listening, if you're an entrepreneur, this conversation should be bread and butter for you. This should be something.
But even if you're not an entrepreneur yet, like everyone who's in sales still, like you're an entrepreneur within a company, you know,
right?
Like if you're selling for Tom James or you're selling for one of the insurance companies, you're like you're at Southwestern Consulting, like it's similar, right? Like your own little like deal and brand under a company, but you don't own shit. Don't forget that.
You don't own shit. Oh man,
I'll tell you that. But you don't own shit.
Oh yeah, the number of times I've had this conversation, and look, listen, we appreciate Southwestern and everything they did, but also here at the show, we know that they're not perfect. The number of times I've had this conversation with my brother where I'm like, he's a DSM right now. I'm like, you don't own shit. And he goes, well, I'm in part of the profit sharing plan. I'm like, no, dude, no. Owning is when you go, I own 30% of the shares, so I get to vote on the shit that happens here. Like that's ownership. Profit sharing, not the same thing. Whatever. So anyway, we don't even have to go down that rabbit hole. But I did want to ask you about this. One question that came to mind when you were talking about this just now, and is, of the companies that you've acquired, maybe to shed some positive light on the things you did get from Southwestern, is what was the first thing or the most common thing that you witnessed companies not have? I mean, you talked about like you start implementing some of the simple stuff like pre-approach or sales skills, but what was the most common like detriment that you're like, man, if you had sold books, you would totally know XYZ? Is it like a common thing, or does it vary per company?
I think book people are really good at like figuring things out on the fly and like being persistent, right?
Number 3,
and that's
baby.
really what you have to do if you're going to go do this, like, because you're gonna have to like learn legal, and you're gonna have to learn SBA financing, and you're gonna have to like a lot of people, they don't know what industry they're going after. So like you'll look at a roofing company, and then you look at like a parts company, and then you look at an e-com company. So you have to quickly like know enough and skill up on them.
Learn the trade.
Yeah. So like that's one thing that's inherent with book people. I think the other thing is like we don't get too high or too low, so like that's important as an owner. And if you recruited and were a manager, like being really good at one-on-ones goes a very long way.
Ooh.
And just like breaking things down into like actionable bite-sized things, right? Like like breaking it down into a goal card in a sense, right? Like how you're gonna make these things happen. Because like on average, most people, if you're gonna go buy a small business, you're probably gonna look at like 200 listings, talk to 50, send 6 letters of intent. 5 of those are gonna fall apart, so like it's a pipeline game,
Can I get personal with you a little, or can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
Biggest failure that you've had since you started doing acquiring the acquisition game?
Biggest failure.
Sorry to put you on the spot. We're on the Ponytails podcast.
Right, like kind of recover from them, but I had one deal. So I closed on my first one December 31st, 2021. So I'm 14 months in. But I had another deal that I thought was going to close in June, and I got to like the 11th hour, and then it fell apart at the very last minute. That was kind of a big failure. Cost me, a lot of money, a lot of time, and then I had to like kind of restart the sales process and find a new one. Yeah, that's what jumps out at me at this point. I mean, we're having like small failures, small challenges, but nothing that's like,
sure,
oh my gosh, like I lost everything here,
But that's interesting that you're saying that your biggest failure came recently. Like, most people would think it came like in 2013 when you were just starting out to do or whatever. You were just like starting to acquire stuff and learning from the things. But the biggest failure came. So mistakes happen and you just got to bounce back, which is another reason why book people would be good at this, because
Yeah.
damn if we're good at like just failing forward, right? Like just like, all right, ate shit, where's the pony,
Yeah.
right? On the other hand, what are you most proud of, like when you as you've accomplished this, because, and obviously I know there's probably a bigger North Star that you're chasing, so it's probably hard to pinpoint a point where that you're like really excited about, but what's a moment where you think back and you're like, man, I'm actually getting good at this, or like I broke through, something changed, and now I'm like, like that moment where you go from like you hit 200 units and then you hit PC and you're like,
Totally.
oh, I figured something out. What was that for you in this journey of learning how to acquire companies?
When I was pretty dead set that I really wanted to acquire an accounting firm, and there are a lot of people, they were like, no, don't do it. Like, why would you do that? And there's business brokers, kind of like real estate brokers. And there's a lot of business brokers in the accounting space that like shunned me because I'm not a CPA. They were like, no, I'm not going to let you talk to the sellers. And I was just like, I can't wait to fucking buy this company. And I know I can grow it. I know I'm going to operate it well. I'm going to learn all the things I learned at Rev Local and at Cultivate. And I'm going to go build this thing to 5 million and then use it to go buy other companies. I just like knew like deep down in my soul that like I'd be good at this. So I like have that one deal fall apart, and I'm getting to like the 11th hour of trying to find another one, finally close on it. And, it was kind of rocky the first few months. And the moment for me was like a year later, like the team went from 12 people to 25 people. Our revenue is up 60%. Like all the things that I said were like I was going to do in my business plan are happening. And, the business did 1.2 million the year before I bought it. This year we're on pace for 3 to 3.5. So like I'll have, tripled the business within 2 years.
That's crazy.
And like our profit margin
that's crazy, dude.
Our profit margin is great. And I added a consulting division, so like a lot of people were like, why would you add a consulting division? I was like, well, that's what I know how to do. And it's a great value add for the client, and it's more profitable. And like, that's gone to plan. So I don't know. It's like,
that's fucking
you
awesome.
keep like those like kind of doubters or haters, like in the back of your mind, you're like, I'm going to fucking show you, so like all the business brokers that like wouldn't put me in front of them, I emailed them all. And I was like, hey, remember when you wouldn't be open-minded to me? Like I just bought a firm for over $1 million. Like,
fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you. I'd say that, but like professionally, I said fuck you, right?
But I mean, I
was like, be more open-minded next time, right? Or even like,
terms,
we're in an association of like 300 accounting firm owners, and I went to a conference, and they were like, man, recruiting is going to be hard for you. And I was just like,
oh boy,
just wait, old man, and like they're all struggling to like recruit and hire people, and like I've been able to figure it out, and they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I told you, and there's one other story. I'm kind of petty like this, but there was a Stanford kid that I became friends with. He went to Stanford Business School, and he bought a bookkeeping firm right before me, and he bought like a really good one. And I was like I'm friends with him, but it's like friendly competition. But I kind of have that like chip on my shoulder because he's like an Ivy League kid and I'm not, and I'm catching him quickly, like, and it's like when you're at the gym on the treadmill.
Listen,
and
as a bookman,
doesn't know like you're racing, but you're like,
yeah,
it's like that.
Well,
right?
no, for relatable terms, it's when you're like on the pace setter and the
Yes.
person ahead of you, and you're like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna hit." And you just
they're
hitting more, but then they go back down to like 400 units, and you're here just consistently hitting PC, and you're like, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
At the end of the summer, you look back at
the other thing I think about is like I feel like I gave my all at Rev Local. Like I poured my like blood, sweat, and tears in there. And how do I say this without, I don't know if they listen to it, whatever. Like my last 2 years there, my sales org grew 50% year over year in terms of production, and my income was flat. And I tried to talk to them about it. I'm like, hey, this comp plan like doesn't make sense. Like, let's fix it. And I was like, I'm not going to be the last person here that's like a top manager that you're going to want to keep. Like, let's figure this out. Like, let's make this a win-win. And at the end of the day, they were just like, no, right? Like, it's not going to change. And I was like, see you later.
Bye.
And it's just that feeling of like, I made the right move. Like, I didn't stay there too long. Like, I see this a lot, right? Like, you see a lot of book people that sold too many summers. They sold 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 summers. And you're like, what are you still doing? You know? Or like, they stay at a company that's like a sinking ship, you know? And it's just that feeling of like, okay, I finally bet on myself and the upside is there and all the equity and whatever that they promised, like I already own more than that now within 18 months. Like, you know, it's like, cool, I made the right move. That's the sort of feeling I have now.
Absolutely. Oh gosh, this is great. Do you mind if I'm just gonna keep asking you questions because I guess that's the point of the show. Is that all right?
By the way, man.
I'm just learning. I'm learning as much as I am just excited to hear someone say this kind of shit, which is huge. Okay, let me back up a little bit and maybe get.
It's funny because we had like when I was living in Denver, there was like a lot of alumni there, and they'd bring the kids like right before the summer, and like who's the big sales manager in Denver right now?
Shane Blake, I think, is the
Shane.
one.
It was like Shane and all of his managers.
Great guy, love Shane.
Great guy, but I'm like, what the
fuck
are you guys doing? Like, get out. Like, there's not more to learn. I promise. Like, after 4 summers, like you should go work in tech sales or like you should go like do something else. But like, you're not
or
going to learn and grow more. And they were just like, no, there's like more stuff to do in the book field. And I was just like, ugh.
Move on, man. Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I know I am. I wanted to give a quick shout out to the people that make this show possible, the people that bring this show to you. These are people who all sold books, and we're here to give a quick shout out to them in a spotlight about their company and what they're up to. So if you're interested, or if after listening to this, you're kind of wanting to know a little bit more, feel free to click on the links below to connect with these people. These are from an excerpt I have with them from a podcast that I do on the side. It's called Executive Exercises, where we take all our sponsors and they come into a think tank and share some awesome ideas about how to grow their business specifically on different topics. Go check that out. But I pulled some of the comments that they had explaining what they do and who they're looking for on their companies. And so if that sounds like you, like I said, click below. Hope you enjoy. That's okay. And actually, and this is good to, I had Nick kind of explain this a little bit too, but it's because I've been in the insurance industry before. For people who are listening, like, how do you make 115% commission?
The way I explain it to people is the insurance companies we represent. So we're a broker. All these companies we work with, they know they're not really going to be making any money off the sales that I make for the first several years, but they don't care about that. They know these clients are going to be on the books for 10, 15, 20, 25 years. So they know they're going to make money over the long haul. And so part of the reason agents are able to make so much is there's all these companies out here and they're all competing for the broker's business, because these companies don't actually have their own in-house sales force. They have independent contractors. And so if their compensation or their commission levels that they offer aren't competitive, I'm not going to place any business with them.
Hello, off schedule moment. Wanted to tell you about Southwestern Real Estate. They're 99% drama free, only 99, not 99.9. So it's a bit spicy, kind of like this episode. Anyway, they will learn you to kick ass at real estate. So make sure you guys click the link below, get in touch with them. Okay, back to work. Bye. That'll do for now. Like I said, make sure you click below to get some more information. And now back to the show. Like, listen, so let me speak to that for a sec, really, if you don't mind. Let me just get on a soapbox real quick. Look, best sales internship, leadership internship, business internship in the world.
Yes.
The keyword in that is not best, and it's not sales, and it's not leadership. The keyword in that is internship, which means you do this shit when you're in college. Now, okay, look, my brother's a DSM. Okay, Shane Blake is a DSM. AJ, Ryan Groom. Those are the kind of people that make a career out of it, and then now they're doing it for the sake of helping build character in other people. And I know all the people that I named, I know that they're all good human beings who are doing it out of the goodness of their heart. They're good human beings to lead young people. So I'm glad that their mission is not to make money, and it is to build confidence in young people, because honestly, we need that shit. We need so much of that with the next generation, which is a whole different conversation. But do not tell me that you're in it for the money, because if you're in it for the money, bro, so many skills that you have clearly displayed by this conversation can be used to go actually build wealth for
Yeah.
you and your family, right?
Yeah.
And if you're listening to, because we have a lot of people who listen to this who are selling books, so I'm not trying to tell people to not sell books. I would never tell that because I never know anybody's life. What I am saying is, if you know after 8 or 9 summers that you're just not going to be a DSM because there's just no fucking way you're going to be a DSM, like you're saying, maybe it's time you look up and go, great, I squeezed the shit out of this lime, orange, whatever. I got all the juice I needed to get out of it. What else is out there that I can go squeeze? Right?
Yeah.
Go make sure that the juice is worth the squeeze, right?
Mhm.
So that's who needs to move on. Shane is a great leader, and he needs to keep doing that so more people can learn from him and young people can learn from him. I'm not telling him that he should move on, or my brother or anybody, before I get sued by the company for doing this. But there are people, and everybody knows who's listening to this. Everybody that sold books knows exactly who I'm talking about. There are people who are like, dude, this is your 6th summer. You've
Yeah.
never broke 4,000 units. You've never recruited more than 3 people on a team. You got to go. You
Yeah.
got to go, man.
Yeah.
Go do
Yeah.
something else. You have all the skills. You got everything you needed to get out of it. So on that note, 100% agree. Thank you for sharing that. Sorry, that's my soapbox.
No, I agree. I agree. I also think like it's diminishing returns, right? Like you can learn
100%.
so much about sales there, but eventually like you need to go learn B2B sales. Like you need to learn tech sales. You need to learn,
Dude,
like
marketing,
even if you're going to go sell
business
mortgages or like
operations.
sell insurance, like you need to learn other things besides just like how to make Mrs. Jones laugh and like, yeah.
20 minutes. Yeah. No, I understand. Look, I went from Southwestern, just a little bit of, you didn't ask, but a little bit about me. I went from Southwestern to go do insurance, life insurance, with a company called Primerica. Great company. I still think one of the best insurance companies for life insurance in the world if you're between the ages of 20 and 60. After that, go to Cardinal, not just because they were sponsors, but because it actually makes sense to do what they do late term. Not the point. The point is, I learned a different kind of sale. What I mean by that? I learned the kind of sale where you are actually in the right, mathematically speaking, from a standpoint of a product, but now you have to you got to show people mathematically that what you're saying makes sense, right? When you're buying term insurance versus whole life, which is a whole different conversation. I learned so much from that. I probably learned as much from that as I did from Southwestern, from the standpoint of like Southwestern, you're selling books in 20 minutes and you're in and out. Then after that, I went to do solar, which is a whole different kind of, it's a kind of like a real estate sale where it's like, this is a 4-month project, which means a client can back out at any time, which is unlike anything in Southwestern. It's a different kind of sale. You got to build relationships. You got to get referrals. You got to make sure different parties involved in your sale come do their fucking job so you can close and get paid so you can feed your fucking dogs or kids or whatever, right? So wouldn't have learned that if I'd done 9 summers with slinging books, right? So what you're saying is so peak. Not just that though. I went and worked for a little while for a company called SPS. They help people publish their books. What I learned from
self-publishing school.
Yeah, phenomenal. I think they're self.
I mean, there you learn a lot about like content marketing and like new, like new world of like info products and
I mean, just from the idea of email marketing alone, which is not something you're going to learn in your 5th sales school. You just won't get that, right? And we're living in 2023. We're building a funnel. If you're a company in 2023 and you want a fucking shot to go make $1 million a year and you're not doing any sort of email marketing at this point, you're fucking up. Like you're just not doing it right. It's just not working. Same thing. And you know what else? And not to toot my own horn here, but this is something that's happening in the world now that it's changing, kind of like what YouTube did to the internet. Is podcasting is another branding and marketing tool that people are starting to pick up on, where it's like, dude, we need to create a community for our clients and our followers that isn't Instagram and that isn't email and that isn't a blog. It's like a way to get into the ears of our customers, potential customers, and their friends to like sell, right? Like the world is changing and evolving, and you're not going to learn how it's changing and evolving from a company that sometimes refuses to change and evolve because, hey, we've been around for 160 years and it fucking works, right? So, and again, this is not to shit on Southwestern. Like, I'm just saying, it's just you're just not getting the whole picture.
There
now, again, to give back to Southwestern, everything I learned and everything I know now, the confidence I have, sure, because I did this program, but it's not the end all be all, right? And
Yeah.
so, if you're an entrepreneur, you're kidding yourself if you think that all you need is a good sales talk, right?
Yeah.
There's more to it, and you're not going to learn that on your 9th summer trying to beat your head against a fucking concrete wall to try to recruit a couple college kids to come do
Yeah.
this thing.
Yeah.
Move on, right?
Yeah.
So, soapbox over. Thank you for listening. Thank you
Yeah.
for coming to my Ponytails
It'll be
podcast.
interesting too to see, like, you know, they obviously got the COVID bump, right? Like when everyone was home,
Yeah.
like it was easy to catch them at home. They're frustrated with homeschooling. They sold a ton of books, right? So it'll be interesting to see, like, in the next couple of years, how that goes. Like, I don't know if they had it's February now. I don't know if they had good summer last year or if it was as strong as the year before, like what this summer's looking like, but we'll see.
I don't know. And not just that, but to be honest with you, the loss of the leadership of Dan Moore, this is not to take away from the leadership that Dave Cosner can bring as a new president. I'm not saying that, but sales school without Dan Moore is got to be, for the first time in whatever 30 years or whatever, it's got to be weird.
Yeah. Fun story.
saying?
My first summer I was selling in Pittsburgh. I was selling like Big Brick. And I knock on the door and this mom comes and she's like looking at my, you know, she's like, she's not looking at me. She's like looking at my notebook and like my lanyard. She's like, oh, Southwestern. She's like, I think my husband did this. He's not home. You should come back. I was like, I hadn't met an alumni yet all summer. I was like, okay, I'll come back.
Great. They're going to buy.
Right. Yeah, I come back and this guy Ted, he's like, dude, a bookman? I haven't had a bookman at my door in like 10 years. He's like, I sold books. I'm like, oh yeah, like where'd you go to school? He's like, Harvard. He's like, this guy Dan recruited me. Ever heard of him? I'm like, yeah, Dan Moore. And
No way.
Yeah. So this guy came to speak at our Sunday meeting and he sold I think he only sold one summer, but he was like really successful marketing executive and he had a watch on and he took his watch off and he's like, he had this like tribal tattoo under there. And he's like, after my first summer, I took all the money and I went to Tahiti and I bought goods and I started to import goods and bring them back and I'd sell them to kids at Harvard and they called him Tahiti Ted. And he had this like really cool tattoo that he like wore under his suits. And it was just the funniest. And Dan Moore recruited him. And so like, you know, of course,
wow.
Dan hears about it because Dan knows everything.
Dan has incredible memory.
Summer, I'm like at sales school and I'm talking to Dan about it. And he's telling me stories about Tahiti Ted. And then 1 year later, fast forward, one of that guy's kids that I met, he had his kid go sell books. He was like, my kid, you know, had always kind of heard about selling books. And then when he like met you and like heard more about it, like he was game to go try it for a summer. So
would you have your kids sell books?
I don't know.
Or would you encourage it?
I'd want them to go sell, you know, whether it's books or solar or pest control or something. I think so. I just I almost wish they sold in like the era we did or right before, you know, but like now there's like
the internet.
There's just so many Karens and like next door and like stuff like that. It's like,
bro,
I'd want them to do it and like get beat up and like get the hard lessons, but it's just a weird time, you know what I mean? And it's only going to keep getting weirder with like
AI and the internet. Yeah, you left in 2010, so you didn't get to like see the detriments that
I got some of that, you know, like we got some like of the, you know, people putting you on message boards and on like Facebook, but nothing like, I know you had Quinn on the pod and, you know, he told a story that I came and picked him up out of jail twice.
Yes, so I was going to ask you about that later, but
we did have some of that, but not near the level that people deal with now, you know?
Yeah. Well, let's just jump into that right now. What was that like when to hear from your, you know, from your person, hey, I'm in jail again? We've heard Quentin's side. Let's hear your side.
Quentin's like amazing and just like cool as a cucumber. The first time I was just like,
awesome.
Dude, I'd be so rattled by that. And he was just like, whatever, stupid, like I'll move territories. And then what happened again? Like he didn't come home late one night. I'm like, is he in jail again? And then sure enough, like had to go get him, and it like the second time, it just like it like bugged him, and like he was like bothered by it. But he's hysterical, and like he just always joke about it, and like we didn't live with Amish, but there are a bunch of Amish near there, and he'd always just be cracking jokes about the Amish, and
which are easy to come by.
yeah.
That's so when you get sorry to get caught up on this part, we can go back to business acquisition.
No, whatever.
But you get a phone call from him again. You're like, hey, listen, man. Like, listen, a lot of managers can probably say we've had a person in our org be in jail. That's not necessarily unique. It's not common, but it's not unique to a lot of book people.
Yeah.
But to be on the phone again and say, hey, man, where are you? And it's like, so like, what was, you know what I mean? Like, how did that go down? Can you walk me as much as you can remember?
I wish I remembered more.
A second person, a second jail time.
I feel like I didn't get the phone call, like when they get 1 or 2 phone calls. It was like he called his parents, and then they called the host family, and then I found out, and like, I got the address and I went to get him. But I wish I would have gotten the phone call. It's like, you're getting a collect call from,
the correctional facility.
But it's just you're so tired. It's so late at night. And you're like, what are we doing here? Like, we're in sales and literally picking somebody up out of jail, like, and the stories of like the people that called on him were just so ridiculous, like he had his permit and they just made a huge deal out of it. And then the cops were like jerks about it and like end up taking him to jail. Right. Like,
yeah. If you're listening and you want to hear more about the specifics of this story, go check out Quentin's episode, which was from like last July. I don't know. We'll throw it up on the screen, or Amy, if you could find out what episode that was.
Yeah.
Because it was hilarious. Like, I didn't know about this. Again, we don't do pre-approach, so I didn't know any of this shit. So he's telling me on the air, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
We've heard arrested stories plenty of times. You got arrested twice?
Yeah.
Homie, that's a Hall of Fame right there. That's your next level.
It was wild.
I'm gonna pour some more tequila. Are you still drinking bourbon?
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Poquito más.
Actually,
what are you drinking there? I got some Basil Hayden. Oop, there's the camera. Patron.
You know what it is. Actually, this bottle was full not too long ago. You know when you're doing too many recordings and you're like going through Patron bottles a little quick. But and I got a recording after this too. So
you got another one. Yes. Who is it?
We work, man. Kendra. Oh no, what's her name? Amy, if you type it up. Kim
She's very special.
Listen, dude, you're all special, but here's the deal. We have Kate Dullard. That's what it is.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know either, but that's a nice
Kate.
thing about my job. Yeah. Shout out to Kate. Let me get back to a little bit about the business acquisition stuff, because I wanted to, at first we just kind of went through some basic questions, and if you got the time, I'd like to pick your brain about maybe some more next level shit.
Yeah.
Maybe people who are listening going, yeah, I know all this stuff, like, and they have their journals and pen to pad ready to like take some notes.
Yeah.
We get into some nitty gritty. So if you're listening to this, we're about to get into maybe some more advanced sales or advanced acquisitions. Something I don't really know much about, SBA. You mentioned this. This might be a boring topic. I hope it's not for people. You should probably take some notes on what's about to happen here. But what have you learned? What have you not, like, do's and don'ts on specifically SBA that people maybe might miss if they're wanting to get into this idea of, like, maybe they're at this point I'm subscribed to buying and acquiring companies. I have the funds to be able to do this. What do I need to know? What do I not need to know? Let me also, by the way, you should start a podcast about this, but that's a different conversation. So walk me through do's and don'ts about this.
Yeah. So it's kind of like for first-time home buyers, there's special mortgages that the government allows, so you can put less down, right?
Yeah. I'm going through one right now, actually.
There you go.
My house.
So similarly, a small business loan like that would be really risky, but the government backs it. So you go through a normal bank, right? Like, and they'll do an SBA loan, and it's a 10-year loan, and they'll loan up to 75%, or maybe, is it more? I think maybe they'll loan up to like 80% of the value of the acquisition.
Wow. So we're talking
So
about a 200,000 for the sake of the example, 200,000 in revenue, 2 to 6 times so anywhere from
yeah, 2 to 4
400,000
times is usually
to,
multiple, right? And
so you're
they'll
looking at
loan
200 to $800,000
they'll
companies.
loan up to 5 million. And if there's real
Oh,
estate included, they'll loan even more. They'll loan up to like 10 million.
and by real estate, you're talking about like I'm acquiring a company that has brick and mortar requirements.
Yeah. So let's say you bought like a home theater company and they had like a showroom and they own that building. You could buy the operating business and you could buy the real estate.
Okay.
So anyways, SBA loans make it possible. They're kind of a pain. It's a lot of paperwork. It's basically like 2 times the paperwork of, home mortgage. But at the end of the day, like they allow you to go buy this business and it usually cash flows from day one, right? So like if you go buy a landscaping company in Chicago that was making $800K a year, you buy it, you use SBA debt and some of your own cash, and then maybe after debt service, you're still able to make like $600K a year, right? Like unheard of, right? So, to get through an SBA loan, it probably takes 90 to 120 days. You sign a lot of paperwork. The seller signs a lot of paperwork. You do sign a personal guarantee. So like this is the big asterisk is like if things totally go sideways and the business goes bankrupt, that loan will follow you for the rest of your life. But the default rate on SBA loans is like 1.5%.
And by default rate, just for the people who maybe don't have the vernacular, is the rate that people fail on their loans or cannot meet the payment demands.
Yeah,
which is got it. Because sometimes we get like they don't teach this in Southwestern, and it's like, what the fuck is a default rate? And it's like, so I'm with you, but just for people who maybe I don't mean to be condescending here, but some people be like, what the fuck does he mean by default rate? Okay,
yeah.
So that's what you have to deal with now. What if I am a customer, or a customer, a person I bought my first company? How did you scale for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Like, how did you get to that? Like, what's the path to that?
Yeah, you could just buy one and like grow it organically and keep it, right? Or like let's go back to landscaping, right? Like once you buy one landscaping company in Arizona, after a year, you kind of know the ropes, then you could go buy more and acquire more, right? So, other sellers will like you more and it'll be easier to sell to you and it's easier to get financing and the bank will, lend on additional deals easier. So yeah, a lot of people do that. Like after they buy their first one, they'll buy others. You also see some people that like want to own and operate multiple businesses, right? So like they'll own different types of businesses and create a holding company. So,
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like they'll have a plumbing company, an electrical company, and like maybe a home title company and a moving company.
Plumbing company or whatever.
Yeah.
That's super fucking interesting, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And follow up to kind of, I'm just following up to the things you said before that you kind of dropped that I know some about, but maybe someone here is like, what the fuck did you mean by that? You talked about S Corp. So why would I get it? I kind of know a little bit. This is kind of a leading question, but why would I do S Corp versus an LLC? I thought an LLC was everything I needed to have. Why S Corp versus LLC? Pros and cons.
You've been studying, huh?
Dude, I don't want to talk to my own horn, but I've read books about this.
All right.
I tried to study up.
So
student of the game.
When you open a company, you make a tax selection, the type of entity that you'll have from a tax perspective. So you could be a single member LLC. You could be an LLC that's taxed as an S Corp. You could be a C Corp. You could be a partnership. Those are some of the most common. If you elect S Corp, if you get over like 80 to 100K profit per year, a lot of times being an S Corp is more advantageous because you pay yourself a salary throughout the year, and then anything else that you take above and beyond that out of the business doesn't get taxed at as high of a rate. So if you're, if that landscaping company has 400K a year and sort of profit, and you pay yourself 100K, that extra 300 is going to get taxed at a much lower rate when you pull it out as a distribution.
That's beautiful. In other words, you mind if I explain this in a different way? Essentially, and this is for I'm a moderate politically, so for the people who are listening who are liberal, essentially the way capitalism works or the tax code works is that the whole idea of the tax code is meant to incentivize people to go and build their own business. So 130 years ago, when we were developing this tax code, people were encouraged to go run their own business. Everyone kind of was a business owner. Capitalism at its finest, right? You were a barber, you owned a restaurant, you owned a bar, whatever. And the reason for that is because the way that things are taxed are incentivizing people to go and operate. Now, as we know now in 2023, that's not really the way it works. It's a couple people own businesses and everyone else just goes and works for them. There you go. That's why when you sell books, even though you run quote unquote your own business, you're still an independent contractor for a company that's really a corporation. But long story short, there is a ton of tax incentives built around the idea that you can be a corporation or a limited liability company, which is what an LLC is. And the idea is that you can actually have some loopholes, not really loopholes, some advantages and or incentives for doing an S corp or all the different things that we talked about, so that you can actually benefit from the idea and continue to not only innovate in the particular industry that you're in, but also take advantage of the tax code, because we're encouraging that the business and entrepreneurialism, I guess, if you will,
Right.
within the spectrum of the government, so that you can continue to produce more products, and so then the free market XYZ. That's a whole different conversation. Long story short, what you're saying is, if you own a business and you run it right, and it's a really you cross the T's and dot the I's, you're actually going to have some tax benefits from owning a company, whether it's something that you built or something that you acquired, like you do in like the theme of the conversation. Did I miss something?
No, you nailed it. Yeah, the government, wrote the tax code to incentivize entrepreneurship, and there's huge tax savings being a business owner. And if you combine that and real estate, it's like insane when you realize like how many incentives there are for those two things.
Earning potential is bananas, and how much the government doesn't take from you, because you're doing a thing that creates jobs, that generates competition, which means that it regularly kind of like levels out prices, controls inflation, makes sure that people aren't getting, ideally in a perfect world, which I know it's not, but the rich don't get that much richer and the poor don't get that much poorer, but idealism. Fuck yeah, dude. Great stuff, my friend. Cheers to you.
Cheers.
You're doing great. This is so fun. I know you didn't necessarily want to come on here to talk about this, but do you mind if I ask you about some Southwestern shit?
Go ahead.
Okay. I always like to know, how the fuck did you get into Southwestern in the first place? What happened at the University of Denver that got you into this?
My older brother sold books at Colorado State. He didn't do very well either.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I looked up to him a lot, still do. And he's like, dude, it's the best thing I ever did in college. You got to do it at least one summer. So he had like a kind of a shitty first summer. And then the second summer, he quit. Like there were a bunch of people that quit.
He quit as a manager? Ooh, that's taboo. Oh,
yeah.
Some people are spitting out their water.
So here's the wildest thing. I was in like a business technology class, and we had to create like a resume and like a future ambitions thing. And I put that in the future, I think I'd sell books with Southwestern. So Eliav Cohen was trying to open a new campus, and he was searching for like University of Denver alumni. And he found this thing that we published online. And he's like, who is this kid? Like, did you sell books already? And I was like, no, I just thought I'd sell books. Maybe. I was like the easiest recruit ever. And he's like, what? So I was actually thinking it was either going to be that summer or the next summer. And then like he reached out to me because he found this thing that I created in one of my classes, because I was already thinking about selling books. So I sold after my sophomore year.
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I know I am. I wanted to give a quick shout out to the people that make this show possible, the people that bring this show to you. These are people who all sold books, and we're here to give a quick shout out to them in a spotlight about their company and what they're up to. So if you're interested, or if after listening to this, you're kind of wanting to know a little bit more, feel free to click on the links below to connect with these people. These are from an excerpt I have with them from a podcast that I do on the side. It's called Executive Exercises, where we take all our sponsors and they come into a think tank and share some awesome ideas about how to grow their business specifically on different topics. Go check that out. But I pulled some of the comments that they had explaining what they do and who they're looking for on their companies. And so if that sounds like you, like I said, click below. Hope you enjoy. On a note from I'm trying to think, like if I was looking into this, and for people who are listening who might be like, hey, this actually, I want to learn more about this. What's the barrier to entry? Like maybe I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, that sounds cool, but I don't know shit about insurance. Like why would I want to go talk to people?
Yeah, the barriers to entry, I think, are really pretty low. Everybody would probably have a different opinion, but in terms to just be able to get out the door and go sell, you've got to get a license. I have my life and health license because you needed the health license at Family Heritage, or if you want to sell Medicare products or certain types of health products, you have to have the health side. But what it takes to get either one or both of those licenses is roughly the same. You take a study course. You may need to study for 15 hours. You may need to study as many as 30 hours. But like with Cardinal, we've got a pretty cool course. From studying to getting your license can be as quick as like 7 to 10 days if you really 15 to 20 if you're moving at a medium pace. And beyond that, if it takes you longer than that, you're just not really all that motivated to start because it's not a difficult process.
Yo, let's get off schedule one last time. Go watch a movie, or maybe you should figure out how to work at EnLight.Energy. Alex Black is crushing it down there, and a former DSM, Julio Hernandez, are both running this company. And man, they are cranking 10 people on their team and growing. It's enough that Alex only has to sell like one thing every other week and make over 6 figures. So if you want to learn more about that and maybe help change the planet, click on the link below. That'll do for now. Like I said, make sure you click below to get some more information. And now back to the show. Like your brother got you in. Your brother was like,
yeah,
hey, check this out.
Yep. And then I lived with LEF. And so my brother was like, dude, you got to live with your student, like the OL, like you'll have a good summer if you live with the OL. So, I just totally drank the Kool-Aid and like was totally on schedule. And, but I was studying abroad in France afterwards. And I was like, should I bring my car? He's like, oh, it doesn't matter if you have a car, you could sell your car, which I don't know. It's like dumb. So I was a walker my first summer. I think I sold 2,000 units, like a short summer, did study abroad, came back. My second summer, I think I recruited like one person or two people. I hit growth. I think I sold like 4,300. Then my third summer, I was one of the top in-school teams. I brought a team of 8.
Wow. Look at you, recruiting you. Look at you.
I think I hit like 5,500 units. And then the next year I was in my MBA program. So I was in a grad school program like right after. And then I had like a money summer, so like I finished grad school and I sold like one more summer just to like go make money before I
balls to the wall. Yeah.
I think my last summer I did like 6,500 or 6,600 units and had a small team in org that came back.
Wow.
And then at that time, Ra was like,
career.
Yeah. Ra was like, dude, you should full time. And I really thought hard about it. He's like, you'll learn a lot because you've never like recruited year round and you've never like ran an org by yourself. I'd been like a co-OL. And I thought hard about it, but there was no momentum in Colorado at the time. Like all the momentum was in Texas and Florida. And I was like, he's like, go recruit in Texas or go to Florida. And I was like, so after my last summer, I traveled and went to Europe and like saw some book kids in Estonia and in Greece and saw some other friends from study abroad. And then I was interviewing for jobs and an alumni called me. So my third summer I sold in Ohio and I met this alumni, Michael Hawk. And at the time he had an internet company and he hadn't started Rev Local yet. And they had like the best Sunday meetings ever. And then he called me and he told me he wanted to build this new company. and I knew him from 2 years prior.
Plucked you out of the air.
Yeah. So like, I basically was looking at like some large established companies or this like little tiny startup. And I was like, all right, fuck it. Let's do it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. I didn't know your brother had sold. I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I recruited my brother, so, but it was not quite the same. We had the opposite. I had a great first 2 summers, and then just ate shit way off schedule. Like, did you ever get on schedule?
Mm-mm.
Oh, dude, you should have tried it once. It's a bliss. It's if you're listening right now and you're selling books, don't get off schedule before I get in trouble for some bullshit.
And I was like blinders on, every summer.
Really? Not
Yeah.
once? Did you need to go to like the gas station, or if I could take a shit at a Starbucks or something?
No.
Wow. That's honestly really impressive. Because dude, I was eating ice cream before dark because I'm like, I'm not gonna get kicked out of
You
this
know
store.
what was wild to me though was like what summer was it? It was before my 3rd or before my 4th summer. Have you ever heard of the guy Theo Davies?
Oh, yeah, dude. Legendary.
Legend, like sold 20,000 units.
Oh yeah. He's got
just
the
like,
record for most units not in school, right? Like experienced units. Yeah.
it was crazy how much he sold. So before I went out, he was selling in Colorado one year because he got there early and my school went out late. So I actually drove down to Colorado Springs and I got to shadow him selling. And it like really messed with my head because he sold so differently. And he was like checking his phone and like looking at stuff like in between doors. It was related to the Sunday meeting, but he's like, I'm trying to line up the Sunday meeting and this hotel keeps calling me back. And like, I was just like,
Yeah.
how do you do
But
that?
he's dropping more.
Oh yeah. In the meantime, he's like dropping
No
back
problem.
and like,
Yeah. I heard he had the record for biggest day ever, which I don't know if this has never been confirmed, but from what I understood, he like went up to like the superintendent, was like, hey, do you want to buy like a set for the high school teachers for math or whatever? And he ended up selling like 800 units in a day.
I believe
I
it.
heard that.
I always
he's like Dave Brown, Dustin Hill is like Peter Petkoff is Petkoff or whatever his the record holder now. But like there's like people who sell a shit ton of books, and then there's like the freaks.
Yeah.
He was one of them.
Yeah.
Like he was one of those up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just bananas, man.
No, I was always on schedule, and even like I won't tell the story. I'll tell a little bit of the story. I like one summer I lived with girls, and I was even like, straight and narrow, and like
They were not.
didn't dabble, living with girls. So I don't know, man. I was like drinking the Kool-Aid.
You're telling me your Kool-Aid consumption was so good that book goggles didn't get to you? Is that what you're telling me right now?
Yeah, but I mean, as soon as the summer ended, it was like
Sizzler, baby. Let's jump in.
Party and like make up for
work hard, play hard. We take that seriously. If anything, that should be the theme of Southwestern. We work hard, we play hard. Oh man, that's fucking awesome. I love it. Let's jump in. I mean, I'm feeling good. Let's jump into some rapid fire questions and then some ponytails if that sounds good to you. Is that all right? All right. So here's our rapid fire questions. I'm pulling them up here. And again, since we haven't talked much about books, feel free to like elaborate or tell tangential stories as they come up or your memory kind of gets jogged as we go through these. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. Favorite territory from the standpoint of not the kind of territory, but like in state and or city that you sold in.
My last summer.
Where were you?
My gosh, I'm mixing up my states now. My last summer, I was in Wisconsin and Indiana.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, Midwest is going to be pretty prime time.
Yeah,
good.
Mainly.
Okay, well, actually, let's recap.
Yep,
4 summers.
Last summer,
where did you go?
Like Warsaw, Indiana was kind of the general area.
You said Pittsburgh, your first one, right?
Yeah.
Did I remember calling it? And your second summer, where'd you go?
Dubuque, Iowa.
Jesus Christ. Wow, that
like,
was rough, man.
yeah, it
Dubuque
was like
is
Dubuque was the little hood in parts of it.
as a Nebraskan, I can tell you that it's one thing to hear about part of it, poverty. Another thing is to drive through it on your way to Chicago and be like, shit, these people, like ISIS would look at them and go, what can we do for them? Like, this is brutal. Dubuque, Iowa. Sorry, I have to shit on Iowa a little bit. So Dubuque, and then your third summer?
Third summer, I was in Lima, Ohio, like
Not as
northeast,
bad.
northwest Ohio.
Ohio, another one consonant state. I don't know why they are allowed to be on here. And then your fourth summer, Wisconsin, Indiana. That's cool.
Indiana, yeah.
That's dope. Okay, so but your favorite was that last summer. Okay. What was your favorite kind of turf? So big break, country, low country, high end country, like what?
I liked big brick or like high end country.
Yeah, dude, I go back and forth. Country's so good, like high end country's good, but sometimes you shoot on these big bricks, and if you struck gold, where like that first family bought, and you got that name, like if you rolled up to a town, you know, you collected all the names, and then because you always save the big brick for last. If you're not doing this, here's some advanced sales for you. Save big brick for last, and you show up with like the superintendent and the chief of police, as a name to like the big brick neighborhood. You're like, I'm gonna destroy this place. That's hard to beat that with the right circumstances, right? I mean, it's pretty bomb. Okay, your favorite advanced sales tape, if you listen to it.
Jack
Clark. Yes, sir.
Matt, like those two guys. And I met Matt, and I'm like, he makes everything seem so easy. You know, he's just like, and I can like hear the advanced sales tape. He's like, you know, I was on my honeymoon. We're supposed to go to some fancy dinner, and I ordered a big plate of nachos. And my wife said, "Don't eat that big plate of nachos, babe." And he's like, "That sounds like a goal to me." So I ate the big plate of nachos. And like, he's just so funny and carefree, and like, nothing's hard to him. He's just hits more, brings out 20-unit teams, you know, like crushing it with financial services. Like,
yeah. As a friend of Matt's, because I was in the force and I got to meet Matt multiple times, and of course we've had him on the show, which we're trying to get him back because gold. I mean, anytime he speaks, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write this down. Earlier when we were talking about the freaks, Matt is one of them, where it's like he never like broke records from the standpoint of like, you know, he sold 30,000 units, whatever the record is now. But when you talk about a person who was just absolutely gifted to do this exact job, or just in general be in sales and just be a person of leadership, dude he's like, you know, he's built for it. I mean, it's just, it wouldn't make sense if he did anything else.
Totally.
Freak. I mean, and again, I think my dad always used to say the hardest thing about any profession, soccer, he's my soccer coach, but the hardest thing about any profession is making it look easy. Like Matt, tangential story. We had Elena Arndt on the show, but she was telling me this story when she was following Matt on like his last summer, and she like witnessed him hit more. And the way she tells the story, she's like, I'm in the car, and he goes, she's following him. She's like, just stay here. And he goes out, and she just watches him talk to a mom on a driveway, which is, you know, as you know, if you've sold books, you're like, that's like a scary approach because you're like, she's already outside. Blah, 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 exchange of words, comes back, goes, okay, I hit more. Let's go get a beer. And it's like 6 p.m. on a like Friday. And you're like, you freak show. Like, how do you like connect people? And then you meet him and you're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Matt Atchison is built different. Got it.
Yeah,
I understand. Great advanced sales tape. I love it. Favorite HQ?
Living with Quentin in Indiana.
Yes. Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that. Indiana HQ with Quentin. Living with Quentin would just be fun in general. He's a different character too. Yeah, he's a goon. Favorite product to sell at the time that you were selling? Like, what was your favorite thing to like tack on or sell?
I love the volume library.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Favorite overall summer? I don't know. It's probably your fourth, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely like things just kind of flowed in my fourth summer. I thought my third summer was going to be amazing. Like I felt all this momentum, and I had these like great group of kids that I brought out as an in schooler, and then my team like didn't do that well, and I thought that was going to be like my like summer where I just like had 8 kids come out, and like 5 of them were first years, and then we brought back some huge org, and it didn't really go that way.
Interesting. But the fourth was just, dude, when you're in the flow, let me take a tangential question really quick. Do you mind? How do you get into flow? Because I know exactly what you're talking about. You're that fourth somewhere where like everything's just like is like falling into place. You're like, but you're manifesting it, but
I don't know.
like,
Like my
how?
first week, I came out and I hit PC, and I wasn't like,
whoa.
I was like slow and I was like steady Eddie guy, and I was like doing my stats, and Quentin was like, "Oh, you hit PC," and I was like, "I guess I did."
Do you find that now, like today, do you find a way to like engage into that mode of Patrick?
No, I'm always the guy that's like not the fastest start out of the gate, but I'm gonna like stick with it and figure it out. Like I was like that at Rev Local. I was like that at Cultivate. I'm kind of like that in the business that I run now.
Interesting. And that's really, I'm just saying interesting that you said that, because not too long ago, I think 2 or 3 episodes ago, 199, we had Travis Thompson on here. You probably know Travis.
Yeah.
That's the same group of guys.
Yep.
And he was the opposite. He was like, everything I started, I just got out to a fast start and then just built from that. And he just would always just like, even after Southwestern, he would go do different sales jobs and he'd just be like top salesperson right away, like rookie.
Yeah. I'm not like, you think of like Travis and Matt Atchison and even like my brother, they're naturally charismatic, like gifted gab. That's not me. I'm like introvert. I probably think too hard. I'm like overly logical, so I have to like really like kind of like get going. So
a bit of wisdom for some of our introvert listeners, that because I'm aggressively extroverted. If I'm sitting next to an airplane, I got an airplane next to you, and I haven't said hi to you after takeoff, like my
you're gonna
eyebrows
talk the
like
whole fucking flight.
twitch, and I'm like, not the whole flight, but I'll for sure be like, my eyebrows twitch, I start sweating. What do you do? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so for me, I don't understand how people who are introverted honestly can do well at sales. What is your wisdom here for those introverts listening in?
You got to feel like you're doing a good thing, right? Like I think that always goes a long way. Like believe in your product and you're helping people. We're probably better listeners, right? And I think the other thing I think about is like trying to be a chameleon, right? Like trying to match their style versus like making it my introverted style. Like I can ramp that up and like adjust to people. I just have to think about it sometimes.
Brilliant. Wow, this is really good, man. This episode's been phenomenal. Okay, a couple last questions for rapid fire. Best sales day. It doesn't necessarily have to be in units, although it can be. But in your favorite sales day, it could be something that happened to you that maybe the day you almost quit, but you didn't, that you learned about, like perseverance or some whatever. Like what to you when you look back in your 4 summers, you go, that was, if I could do that day again, that was great.
There's a couple that stand out. My first day, I knew my sales talk. I like was working really hard, and I like didn't sell anyone. And literally like my last family was like the coolest family. And it was just like that, like persist until you succeed. You sell the last family. And they were just so nice and like fed me a bowl of cereal, and the next summer I wrote them a note. I was like, "You're my favorite family from last summer." And they wrote me a letter back, and I kept it like in the front of my, whatever,
like your steering wheel?
Oh,
I see. Yeah.
So like that day jumps out at me. And then there was another day, I had like an 800 unit week my third summer. And I remember
Chairman's week.
Yeah, I remember the day when like I sold the orthodontist, and then I was like in that neighborhood, and it was just like everyone was like buying
butter,
and like everyone knew the name. And I like didn't have the best start that summer, and I could just like feel the momentum, and I felt like it felt really good to like have some really big days finally.
Oh, that's whew. It's a good time. I want to go knock on a door now. Favorite breakfast spot? I know it's a tough question because there's so many.
You know,
Cool breakfast
that
spots.
summer with Quentin, like it was this restaurant and we'd be in there with a bunch of Amish people and like the food was like really good. So that, yeah, I like that.
Jebediah is like, so what are you guys selling today? Or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's a good answer. And then last one, but not least, of course, is best follow day. We added this one recently because it's like everybody talks about their favorite follow day because when you get to work with another bookman or woman, it's a fun day, right? So what was your favorite follow day?
You know, okay, I'll give you two answers. I went to sales school late and I'd always go to sales school with the Estonians. And so one day I had an Estonian following me and they're all like prim and like proper and like very polite. And we're like driving to territory. I was like, tell me some words in Estonian. And they're like, okay, car, dog. I was like, all right, tell me some curse words. And they're like, why? I was like, I don't know. Just what are some curse words? So it was like, I don't know if I'm saying this right. It was like Tuda and like Kepama or something, right? So she tells me these words. And then I'm talking to this mom and I'm getting pre-approached. And I'm like, I don't know if you know like the Tuda family and the Kepama family. And this Estonian girl was like bright red, fucking crying, laughing. And the mom was like, are you okay? You know, so I literally just made it like the word of the day. And this Estonian girl was just like, thought it was like the weirdest, like dirtiest, thing, you know?
Yes. Now, hold on. Let me pause you before you go to your second favorite follow day. For people who would listen to maybe don't even know what word of the day means. Word of the day is when you. Do you want to explain word of the day?
Yeah, you just like use a goofy word of the day as much as you can, and
For that
incorporate
day.
everything.
Like meow. It's like, all right, you got to use meow as much as you can through sales talk. And you're like, I was just talking to the Thompsons meow, and I was talking to. You just gotta sneak it in there, just to have fun.
Yeah,
So that's a good time.
yeah.
What do those words mean before you go into your second favorite follow?
I think one was shit, one was fuck, or something. I don't know.
Great. Estonian listeners, if you're listening, because we are big in Estonia, please let us know. Comment below or something if you can let us know what that means. Okay, sorry. Other favorite follow day.
I mean, that stands out. The other, I followed Amy LaValle one day. She was like, you know, experienced manager, just awesome, hilarious. She had so much fun selling books, and I was just like, not that as fun. But there's this door we go to. I'm behind her. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'4", so I'd like stand far back. And this mom's like looking at Amy, and she like looks back at me, and she's like, "Is he with you?" And we both just start like crying, laughing because it was like, "Yeah, of course I'm fucking with her." She was just like, "Who is this like weirdo behind you?"
Imagine you weren't.
Yeah. So Amy and I had a fun day. Yeah.
Amy, if you're listening, please be on our show. We've heard so much about you.
Come
A
on.
lot of people brought Amy LaValle on. It'd be so fun to have her on because I heard so many good things.
Yeah.
So, all right, that concludes our rapid fire / quick question segment. Let's get into some ponytails for people listening for the first time. If this is your first episode, this is where we get into the favorite stories of our guests. Sometimes it's just one big old story or whatever. Sometimes it's like a bunch of little ones. Patrick, I'll leave it up to you, man. This is your ponytails. You let us know what you want to share, and then we'll wrap this one up.
Just favorite stories.
Yeah, my fun stories, biggest customers, time you shit your pants, something crazy that happened at Sizzler. I don't know. Lee McCroskey literally was like my fourth summer, and he went on like a 25-minute story about when he shit his pants. If you haven't listened to this and you want to have an ab workout from laughter, like I did, bruh. Like
okay.
hilarious.
Here's my ponytail. You said I was Eagle Blitz, but my first 2 years I was with Weiss, which is a different sales manager.
Yeah, Eliav Cohen.
Chris Fugman and Eliav were there, and like Fugman was leaving, and I was like devastated. I was like, they're splitting up our group. I was like, who am I going to work with? I don't really know all these other sales managers. And they're like, we're thinking of putting you with Eagle Blitz. And so I fly into Nashville for sales school, right? And like you come in a day early as a manager, and they're like, we're going to pair you with this roommate. And it's this guy named Nate Foss. I didn't know who Nate Foss was. And my room number is like 118, right? And I'm in like some shitty little like Days in Nashville, and I'm like looking at the door numbers, and it's like loud in the hallway, and there's like music, like okay, 110, 112, 114, 116, 118. And there's a fucking raging party going on in our room because my roommate is Nate Foss. And he's like, dude, are you Dichter? It's 8:55. We got 4 minutes before we run out of beer. We got to run down to the gas station. And I was just like, Weiss was not like that. And Eagle Blitz was like the party monsters. You know what I mean?
Oh, are they?
And they put me with King Party Monster, Nate Foss, who I fucking love. But that was my intro to Eagle Blitz. And he like takes off running to the gas station. And then like the whole party is going on in our room. And he like comes back covered in sweat with like, 230 racks. And that was my like, intro to Eagle Blitz. And it was an amazing team to join, and just a bunch of alpha dudes that were hilarious that sold a ton of books,
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. Nate Foss, episode, I think Amy, check this. Amy, 147 or 8, I want to say. Hilarious.
I'll have to listen to it. I haven't listened to it.
It's so good.
I was partnered with him in a hotel room another time for Get Back meeting in Florida. And it was the same scene, like people were partying in our hotel room at 4 a.m. and like a bunch of randos that weren't book people. It's like,
oh, so good. Yeah, 148 is Amy saying 148. Nate Foss. Oh, bro, that was a funny episode. Yeah. Oh, that's good. I love that. It's a good sales school story we haven't had in the Ponytails in a while. So that's great, man. I appreciate this. Wow, man. Let me give you this closing thoughts. We can go kind of circle back, make it full circle. If I'm listening to this and I'm interested in like maybe acquiring a business, maybe get a hold of you. Give us like a quick like rundown of what we can do, what we can expect, how we can get a hold of you, XYZ.
Yeah, get a hold of me. Patrick Dichter. Last name's Dichter. You can find me on LinkedIn or Twitter. You can go to our company website, appletreebusiness.com. My Instagram is there, Pat Dichter, wherever. But I geek out on this stuff. I love looking at businesses with people. So if you're interested in this space, like I can, tell you the books to read, the podcast to listen to, help you look at deals. Like I can connect you with attorneys. I can help model cash flow for you. Like, I can cut off your learning curve. So
phenomenal. That's such good stuff, man. Hey, man, I've had a blast, man. I hope this was an enjoyable hour and a half for you. This was
awesome, man. Thanks for having me on.
So wonderful. It's a really, and when you booked, and we've been kind of like interacting on the alumni community and stuff through the Facebook group and all that stuff. But of course, Quentin told me your name, Travis told me, all these guys that you're friends with were like, you got to get Patrick on. So obviously, I can see, I trust them to know why. But now that I've experienced this, it's been a great time, man. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Anytime. And by the way, come back with Nate. We could have you with Nate Foss back on to just shoot the shit. I don't know. It's a total open game where anybody's welcome to come. And if you are listening and you sold books, you want to be on the show, please contact us. We'd love to have you. Go to theponytailspodcast.com. That's theponytailspodcast.com. Tales as in stories, not like it's on the screen. TALES. And you can go and come and tell our stories. Also, if you're listening, you have anonymous stories you want to share. We do have an anonymous submission story where we are wanting to share some of those stories. If you're like too scared to like let your face out and your name out, we will keep it secret, but we'll share your story. Come on the show. Thank you so much, guys. My name is Andres Gamboa. This has been episode 202. Can you believe it? Working on it right now. Stay tuned. If you're listening into this right now, that means that Dan Moore is up for the premiere of season 9. We have him booked and we're looking to record with him, but it might be over Zoom, it might be in person, who knows. Stay tuned to find out. On that note, we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out, everyone. Bye.